Something was wrong the moment her footsteps echoed down the dock. Not danger yet, but the kind of tension that tightens your chest before words are spoken. I stayed seated, eyes on the tablet in my hands, knowing silence would irritate her more than any reply. Mornings at the marina used to be predictable. Calm water. Boats lined up like they were parked with intention. A place where nobody rushed and nobody shouted. That was my routine. I came early, sat at the end of the dock, read market reports out of habit more than necessity, and let the water do what it had done long before any of us arrived. Then she appeared. Her heels struck the wooden planks sharply, each step announcing authority she believed belonged to her. A folder was tucked under her arm, pressed tight against her body like proof. She stopped a few feet away, squared her shoulders, and pointed down the dock as if directing traffic. "You can't be here," she said, loud enough for nearby boat owners to hear. "This dock is private property." I didn't look up right away. That pause mattered. People who crave control hate delays. I turned the page on my screen instead, slow and deliberate, before finally meeting her eyes. Behind her confidence was something else. Anxiety. The kind that shows up when someone is enforcing rules they don't fully understand. I told her calmly that I had every right to be there. No raised voice. No explanation beyond that single sentence. She reacted exactly how I expected. Her voice climbed. She gestured wider. She made sure others were watching. Authority, when insecure, always performs for an audience. She talked about community rules, about safety, about how people like me didn't respect shared spaces. The words were vague, but the accusation was clear. What she didn't realize was that this dock, this water, this entire setup had a history far older than her paperwork. And more importantly, I knew it. Before she could escalate further, patrol boat idled closer, drawn by the volume rather than the facts. She seized the moment, pointing again, narrating her version of events as if it were already official. I reached into my bag slowly, careful not to rush, and pulled out a document worn thin by time, but preserved for exactly this reason. When the officer read it, everything shifted. His posture changed. His tone softened. The water wasn't hers. It never had been. The silence that followed was heavier than the shouting before it. She stood frozen, realizing too late that she had started something she didn't control. She turned sharply and left, humiliation trailing behind her like a wake. I stayed where I was, knowing this wasn't over. The backlash didn't wait. By the time I returned home, my phone buzzed constantly. Community posts. Messages passed between neighbors who had never spoken to me before, but suddenly had opinions. A photo appeared online, cropped just enough to suggest threat where none existed. Captions framed me as intrusive, suspicious, dangerous. Fear spreads faster than truth when it's wrapped in concern. Cars slowed near my property. A patrol cruiser lingered longer than necessary. Nobody knocked. Nobody asked. Judgment had already been outsourced to rumor. This was no longer about a dock. It was about pressure. About making someone uncomfortable enough to leave without being forced. That night, I walked the fence line with my dogs, watching lights across the water at the marina. Up close, it looked different. Less polished. Maintenance deferred. Equipment patched instead of fixed. A place surviving on appearances, not stability. I made a call I hadn't made in years. The answer came quicker than expected. The marina wasn't owned the way she claimed. It was leased. The real owner was drowning in debt, barely holding the structure together. One missed payment from collapse. The escalation turned physical soon after. A brick shattered my window with a note attached. Then tires slashed. Then a confrontation on a narrow road where her husband leaned into my open window, breath sharp with alcohol, warning me about accidents and isolation. I didn't argue. I listened. That night, cameras caught him damaging my vehicle, confident he wouldn't face consequences. I saved the footage and waited. The turning point arrived quietly, just before dawn, when the deal closed. Through a holding company, I acquired the marina's debt and assets. Ownership changed instantly. Authority shifted without announcement. She didn't know yet. Instead, she doubled down. Legal paperwork arrived banning me from areas I now owned. She was racing paperwork against reality, and reality always wins. I let her plan her event. Let her invite everyone. Let her believe the story was settled. The marina was full that afternoon, music, decorations, a speech prepared with confidence borrowed from false assumptions. She stood, elevated, addressing the crowd, announcing my exclusion as if it were a victory. Then I walked in. Not loudly. Not alone. Papers spoke where megaphones failed. Ownership records. Lease clauses. Authority transferred in front of everyone who mattered. Her composure collapsed in real time. Security changed allegiance without argument. Her husband stepped forward and stopped when law enforcement stepped in. She was escorted out of her own event, not dramatically, but completely. That night, desperation crossed a line. He returned with gasoline, believing destruction could undo contracts. Cameras recorded everything. Water met fire. Sirens followed. By morning, investigations replaced gossip. Financial records surfaced. Money siphoned. Deals hidden. The story she built fell apart under scrutiny. Arrests came quietly. Sentences followed. The marina reopened under new leadership. The gate came down. The dock returned to what it had always been meant to be. Now, mornings are calm again. Children fish where shouting once echoed. Boats drift without tension. I sit at the end of the dock reading, letting the water move as it always has. Power doesn't need to announce itself. It waits.